Alright, so we're going to go over green screening real quick. This should be a pretty quick lesson, but for anybody who's having problems with it or who I haven't been able to get to answer questions, it's important to know how to do this. So let's do this real quick. Obviously, the first thing that you want to do is bring in your footage here in your project panel. So you're just going to double click on that, and we got to make sure that our green screen footage or any footage that we're bringing in Premiere is saved on your flash drive, on your desktop, but it's not changing. Once you bring it into Premiere, you can't change where you're bringing in that footage from. So I'm just going to grab some green screen footage that I have here. Okay, now before you bring it into the timeline, I always double click it to show it in the preview window, and I like to have my preview window right next to what the actual project looks like, what the actual timeline screen looks like. So double click it. We're going to set an in and out point after. We don't want that hand in the way there, so we're going to set an in point. And we'll just grab 15 seconds of it and set the out point. So in point by hitting I, out point by hitting O. And for this, we don't even need the audio. If we wanted the audio and the video, we can click on the video and pull it down to our timeline, but we don't need the audio here. So I'm just going to grab the video right here, drag it down to this track. Actually, I'm going to put it in video track 2 because this is going to have to go on top of video track 1 after we take the green screen out. Alright, so we have our footage in there. Now we want to get rid of the green screen. So I like to keep my effects panel here. This setup just works for me, but find your effects panel, and it's different than if you look up here. This is going to change your whole layout of Premiere, how Premiere is laid out. If you click on effects, see how I just lost my setup. So if you're ever looking for effects, it's never going to be the effects panel, I should say. It's never going to be up here. This is the effects, what do they call it, workspace. So you don't want to be in the effects workspace, you want to be in editing. So you want to find the effects panel, and it's going to be, and you can move that around wherever. Like if I wanted it up here, I could move that there. And now I just have these two to click between, but I like it down here because I can still see a lot of the timeline down here. So I keep it over here. Anyways, for green screening, we're going to go to video effects, and we're just going to twirl that folder open by hitting on that arrow, go down to keying, and then there's two different ways you could do it here from Premiere, Luma key or Ultra key, and we're going to use Ultra key. Ultra key is a little bit better than Luma key. So you just click on Ultra key, and we'll just drag it right under our clip, drop it there. Now, we have to open the effects controls for this clip. So if you see up here, effect controls. Now, if your window's a little bit smaller, like you might have to click on this arrow here. But if you widen it out so you can see all of your panels up here, and if you can't see all of your panels, you can move like metadata. You can move this down here to be one of the panels there. There we go. All right. Anyways, so we're going to go to effect controls for this clip, and that brings up all of our controls for this clip. Now, if you see here, here's Ultra key. We've just put Ultra key onto that clip. Like if I click on this and hit backspace, this would be the effect controls for any clip. So I put a video clip in the timeline and I hit on effect controls, and these are the options that I'm going to see. But once I drag an effect onto the clip, that's going to automatically show up in the effect controls, and we'll have the ability to manipulate that effect however we want. Okay, so all we do here, we have Ultra Key on this clip. We're going to take the eyedropper, click on the eyedropper, and we're going to select the green that we want to take it out. Now, if you have wrinkles in the background, you want to select the green like that there is the most of in the clip, if that makes any sense. So this looks pretty good background, so I'm just going to click anywhere, and there you go. It takes away all the black. So now, if I was still seeing some light somewhere or some wrinkles, I could hit matte cleanup. If I scroll down here, the choke is gonna help with the edge. Like if I move the choke up, you can see the edge getting cleaned up a little bit. And you don't need it. This one doesn't really need a lot of it, so maybe like 20. And wherever you see these blue numbers, you have the ability, if you can see, it goes from the arrow, when I go over these blue numbers, to the hand with the two-sided arrow. You have the ability to click on that and then go left or right to make it less or more. So I'm just going to leave it at 20. And then contrast is the other one that I would use. This is just going to contrast the background color, or taking away the background color with the actual video. But again, this was shot with a pretty decent green screen in the background, so looks like we're good there. All right, so there we go. We've taken away the green screen. Now we just need to put something behind this footage, whatever it is. And for this lesson, I'm just going to put anything behind there. So I don't know. I already have this stadium, so I'm going to bring that in to my project in the project panel. I'm going to preview it. I don't know why. It's not video, it's just a still picture. And then I'm just going to grab it and put it below the green screen footage. Now, a couple things happen. You can see it's not as big as my window, and we can fix that very easily. Also, it's not as long as this footage, so if I'm playing this footage and when it gets to this point here around 5 seconds, it's just going to disappear because this clip isn't as long as my video footage is. That's a very easy fix. All you want to do, since it's a still picture and not video, we can make it whatever length we want. If you see, when I get to the end of a clip in the down here in this window in the timeline, when I get to the end of it, when I scroll over the end of it, it gives me that little bracket, and that if I click on that and just move it out, I can move it to wherever I want. Okay, I can make it whatever length I want. Now, if it's video, you can only move this out until the end of the video. Obviously, you can't extend the video because there's nothing there. But this is just a still image, so I can make it whatever I want. So there you go. Now we got to make this the same size. Don't know if I hit on scale to frame size. There we go. So if you just right click, you have the still image selected. If you right click on it and hit scale to frame size, that should fill up that window. Or another way to do it, if that doesn't work, if you click on the still image there and go up to effect controls, under motion might not be open here, but under motion we can change the scale. Okay, so there's two ways you can do that there, and we can move that around if we wanted to with position left or up and down. All right, so there is that. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was masking. So let's say there was some light shining through. I know a lot of you guys had a clip where there was light shining through from the window, like somewhere in here, and we wanted to mask that out. Okay, so we want to make sure in the timeline we're selected on the actual green screen footage, right? So we're not going to mask out anything on the background because it's fine, it's good. We are going to mask out something on the clip, so we have to make sure that that actual footage is highlighted. Then you want to go into effect controls, which we're already in effect controls. And so here's where the issue was when I was explaining this in class. You don't want to put the mask on the effect. The Alt key that took away the background, we don't want to put the mask on that effect. So we can just hide all of those attributes for Alt key. We want to put the mask on the clip itself. So if you notice, if I'm here and I put a mask there, sorry. I'm going to put a mask on the effect. So I grab this box, and it's just automatically going to put a box there. Now I can move that box around, and if I go up in the corner, I can change the shape of the box. If I grab on the line, I can make another point. So if I click anywhere on that line, I can make a point wherever I want, and I can change the shape to exactly the shape that I want, and I'm just masking out whatever shape it is. I'm not going to put a box there. Okay, I want to make it a custom. So you just got to be careful. You got to look at what your cursor looks like. Like if it's like this, that's the normal selection arrow. If it's like this with that kind of bent two-way arrow, that means we're going to rotate. So if we click and if we're trying to make another point and we click, it's not going to do that because it has this two-way arrow and it's just allowing us to rotate the mask. And then if it has this pen tool, that means we can add, see the little plus sign there, we can add a point. Okay, so I'm going to delete that mask because I want to make a, and I guess I really just did make a custom mask, but I'm going to use this pen tool here to show you that. But as you can see now, just like when we put Alt key on this clip, we put a mask on this clip and now it shows up in the effects controls, and we have the ability to change some of the things with that effect. In this case, it's this mask. Whoops. So I'm going to click on that and delete it. So I'm going to make a custom mask, and I'm going to do that by hitting on this pen tool, and then I'm just going to make points. And you can see I'm trying to make a point right here at Elizabeth's hair, but I can't because it's now going to rotate. So if I were to click here, it just rotated what I already have, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to go up here, mask this out. You don't have to be exact with this because we can feather this out, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so now it's deleted everything except that what we masked out of the clip, and we don't want that for this purpose. We want to get rid of what we masked out. Like if this was that light that was shining through, we want to get rid of that. So all we're going to do is over here, we're going to check inverted, and that's just going to switch the mask from showing just what we masked out to showing everything but what we masked out. So if I click inverted, oops, sorry. Now we've gotten rid of Elizabeth's head, and we just see the picture of the stadium behind it. Now, as we move through this clip down here in the timeline, you can see obviously her head's going to move, and you can see right there it comes outside of the mask there. So how we fix that, we just go in the timeline, make sure you're down here in the timeline, and you take the playhead and scroll it through, and as her head comes out of that mask, we just need to keyframe this mask so it moves as she moves. So we're going to put our playhead right at the point where her hair starts to show behind that mask, right here. And now I'm going to keyframe the mask path. So every effect that has a stopwatch by it means you can animate it. We can make keyframes for it. And we talked about that in class a little bit. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch here to set a keyframe. And you can see that it's set a keyframe right at the time in the video where I'm at down here in the timeline. So now I'm going to select my mask. See how it wasn't, I was on mask path and I couldn't manipulate the mask. We're just going to click on mask path. So now it brings up all those points. And I'm going to just take this and move it out here and move this point here and this point here. And now I'm going to go to the next keyframe. Here's two ways you can do it. You can grab the playhead and try and go frame by frame, or you can just click on the timeline here, make sure the timeline window is highlighted, and you're just going to click the arrow button. So the left, right arrow buttons will advance by one keyframe. And remember, there's like 30 keyframes per second. So I'm going to hit the right arrow. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. We're still good with the mask. You can see her maybe a little bit here. Okay, and now it just set another keyframe there on that mask path. But I just want to make sure I go down here and highlight the timeline. So you can see when I went up to change this point, here I changed this point. Now this window is highlighted. So now if I hit the arrows again, it's not going to advance by one key or one frame. I have to make sure that the timeline is selected, and then I can click my arrows to go frame by frame. And as long as her hair or head is not popping out of the mask, I don't need to change it. So I don't need to change it for every keyframe, but I can start to see it coming a little bit here. So I'm going to move this and then go back to the timeline and hit the arrow buttons. And that looks pretty good. You can see there's no problems with that mask. It's good. Now let's say there was here, I just want to show you, if there was a problem and we had to move way down the line, we had to move the mask around a little bit, and we did that. You can see here in the effect controls that it set another keyframe. So the mask is going to stay the exact shape and in the exact place where we have it for this whole duration until it gets to this spot in the timeline, and then it's going to move out or in or whatever we did at that point. And we can move those keyframes around by clicking it and moving it here, but we don't need to for this. So that should be it. Right now we just have a clip. If I hit spacebar here and play it, we just have a clip of, and you can see there were some spots there where, let's see, some spots where her hair kind of pop out behind the mask. And again, if we move this, it's setting more keyframes. So there you go. We should be good. That's how you green screen. So if you have any other questions, or if it's not working for you like it did for me, let me know.